Brandon, we're talking a little AEW. We got to throw that other company in there. They put some tickets on sale this week for AEW All In at the Texas Rangers Ballpark in Texas. Not a great start for ticket sales there, even though they had a huge party. I think they sold around 2,000 tickets on the on-sale date, and that's really not good because normally you get people buy tickets throughout time, but you get a good chunk on the opening day, and we were trying to sell 45,000. It's not good to start with only 2,000. So hopefully that one's not moving into an arena in the future. But talking about talent, talking about Rey Fenix and some of the controversy going on with him right now, is he on his way to WWE? Is AEW holding him in AEW? What's going on with that?
Yeah, so from there's different things out there. I mean, unfortunately, you can't believe everything you see because there was something out there that was obviously Tony Khan didn't say, like, somebody did a graphic, how everything's technologically done now, where it was a misunderstanding over he wanted some food or something, and because the language thing. I don't buy that. I don't think that's true because there was, Tony Khan's a billionaire. Tony Khan brings in all these different talents from different parts of the world that their native language is not English. So obviously he's going to have really good folks that are translators. So when you put it, there was this press release out there that was yeah, we got to work on getting better translators. I don't buy that for a second. I think that was all fabricated. But the situation with Phoenix and Tony Khan is it's not ending right now. Rey Fenix's brother, Pentagon, he's coming over to WWE. That's a done deal. He could be there as early as Royal Rumble. That's where he's at. But the issue is Rey Fenix is essentially, his career's on hold because Tony Khan pulled out the old Vince McMahon playbook and added time because of medical. So Rey is going to be on the hook in AEW for about a year, give or take. And Tony Khan has no plans on using him. So essentially, he's just holding him there and paying him a bunch of money to just sit there because he's being spiteful in that sense where Rey Fenix wants to go with his brother in WWE, and Tony Khan's like, nah, you're gonna write out the rest of your contract. And Rey is not obviously pleased about it. And there's been some shots out there. Rey hasn't been very pleased with how they took care of him medically and all that stuff. So this whole thing it's getting really nasty, and I don't know what the next step is. For me personally as a fan, I'm divided. I'm split really on this because I get where Rey Fenix is coming from. Where okay, I'm in the prime of my career. You're just gonna let me sit and collect a check? I want to wrestle, and Rey wants to wrestle, but at the same time, it is part of the contract. Rey signed it, and Rey has to honor that contract. So so my question to you is, are you on the side of Rey Fenix where you're they should let him get out of his contract, work something out, and just play ball the right way because maybe they can work together later, or do you think Tony Khan should just let this drag out? Keep the added time and maybe burn a bridge where Rey Fenix will never be in AEW again. Where do you stand on this?
Yeah, I don't think there's really ever bridges fully burned in the world of wrestling as we think that there are. Bret Hart's and Ultimate Warriors, and I'll be honest with you, Tony Khan said he burned a bridge with Hulk Hogan, but he'd probably take him in at some point, and even Vince McMahon, right? We all saw that meeting with Shane McMahon, so wonder how bridges really get burned. But yeah, I guess my thing is Tony Khan has run this company a little silly, and he's done things that are, very questionable. So in order to counteract that, then he goes hard left. And then he does things like this that are hard WWE stances. And that then turns you off the other way. So you went from the company that everyone loves to work for, but the stories are out of this world and some of the elements of bookings are kind of weird, to now you're going to be spiteful and you're going to be hard on it, right? So I guess the thing is Tony Khan, I want him to improve in a lot of different ways, and I hope he does. This is not one of them. This isn't you're fixing your 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 problems by adding a different problem is not going to fix those problems. So I think for the most part, you should go on about business as you did before, being a more friendly promoter, a more workable promoter, a promoter where people wanted to go there. Because this is because people already have their reasons to not go to AEW, and they're not the workplace environment. They're not necessarily working for Tony Khan. They're the booking, they're how they're going to be used, stuff like that. So if you add now booking and how we're going to be used to the fact that we also might not be treated that well, that's not a good recipe for AEW.
Here's the thing with Tony Khan too, and like you mentioned it, like he's made like a hard beeline the other way. Like the thing that I don't understand is like why. I mean, we've been talking about this forever. Like he needs to bring in people that know how to do different things, because to me, like I've said this millions of times on this podcast, ever since AEW was a thing and like we started to see things kind of evolve. Like he just needs to write the checks and to stay away from the camera. Like let wrestling people do wrestling things. Like it's like fantasy land, and it frustrates me because you got a guy like Rey Fenix who is in the prime of his career. Unfortunately, he got hurt, and that stuff happens. Like for me, like why not work something out with Rey Fenix and say, okay, like I'll let you out of your contract, in good faith, but when your next contract comes around, don't forget about us, something like that. Because I get your point where your bridges aren't never really burned in wrestling, but Rey Fenix, I think he's really ticked off. You can tell.
And I think some bridges are burned. I don't think CM Punk's going back.
Well, here's the other thing too. The reason why he went hard, Tony Khan made the hard U-turn, so to speak, is I feel like he's having to eat crow for how badly he used Cody Rhodes and CM Punk and how much they're flourishing in WWE these days. I feel like he's doing that hard turn because he's like, I'm not going to let everybody out of their contract.
Rey Fenix is being punished for the WWE ID thing, for essentially WWE being as hard as they are. For one, taking those two talents, right? But on the top of the fact that WWE is doing what they can do, not necessarily put AEW out of business. I mean, they're not trying, but they're not really trying that hard either. They're just essentially blowing them off. And AEW, I think Tony Khan's on the defensive. I think that's really what this is. He's on the defensive about this. And, everything was going all right, but now that the ticket sales and stuff are starting to trend southward, he's on the defensive.
Here's the thing. Tony Khan, until the TV contract, like the executives for TBS, TNT, the whole Turner side of things, until they say to Tony like, hey, we're turning the lights off on this. Tony Khan does not care about money is not a thing for him. Like he can just keep spending money left and right. It doesn't matter. Money is not a problem for him. So to me, it's like Turner needs to turn the heat up on him a little bit and say, hey, we love the fact that we have wrestling back on our networks, but you need to start, they need to let him know, hey, you need to start doing things better or we're going to cut you off. So to me, he needs to hire people that know what the hell they're doing. That's the problem. Tony Khan can be the tech rep. He just needs to stop.
I think they probably know what they're doing, the people that he does hire. The problem is he just doesn't give them full control like he does,
I think the problem is I feel like Tony Khan, I feel like he gets in his own way. He gets in front of his skis way too much. And I think for me, it's yeah, dude, we know you have billions of dollars. Stop throwing that weight around. If you want this to work, which we all as wrestling fans want it to work because we want rising tides raise all ships, so to speak. We want this. But at the same time, bring in some other people that are not in the company right now. Bring some people that have the legitimacy that wrestling fans know of, and people that have been proven talents, on the executive side and the creative side. Bring some people in and let them do their job and just stay out of it. If you can do that, I think AEW would be much better off that way. But guess what? Tony Khan, he doesn't want to suck up his pride and say that he failed. It's a prideful thing. But when you look at the attendance numbers, he's getting 2,000 in a 40,000 seat venue right now. That can't, if that doesn't tell Tony that something's wrong, I don't know what will.
Yeah, and doing this is he just seems to go all one way. When something bad happens in one way, instead of backtracking and fixing that, he just goes all in on it, right? Your pay-per-views are 3 hours long, and they don't really cater to WWE fans also. Oh yeah, well, I'll make them 5 hours long and screw the WWE fans. I'll just try to go off on my own. Instead of when he had things where people were saying, you're not WWE enough for me, instead of saying, you're right, maybe I should WWE this up a little bit more, he just goes takes the beeline and goes further fringe, right? And then just says, I'm for the sickos, right? I'm not for the WWE. He then tries to turn that that tide and just go one way real hard. And now, like I said, when WWE ID thing comes out, he all of a sudden now is going to go hard on that stance. And that's
here's the thing though, like you mentioned like the AEW, IWC, internet wrestling community folks out there, like those sickos, as you said, like there's not that many of them, because if there was that many, they wouldn't have a problem selling tickets at, at these venues and whatnot, and the ratings would be better than what they are. I think the ratings are just getting worse and worse. So what AEW needs to do is they need to follow more of that WWE model per se, not completely, but make a little bit of adjustment to make it work, because what they're doing right now is not working. So they got to tweak things a little bit, or it's going to be in big trouble even more.
What was working in 2018 and even early 2019 before the pandemic, and even a little after the pandemic, right? They just are going hard one way, and it's not working. And again, when Cody Rhodes and CM Punk jumped ship, he got on the defensive, and this is just an example of that, right?
100%. Like that's the thing. I don't want to crap on Tony Khan. I really don't. Like we're just wrestling fans here, and we're frustrated. Like it's to me, it's like if you're trying to grow something, you can't just have it as a niche thing where it's like, oh, I'm going to cater to the 1% of the wrestling community. It feels like you have to broaden your horizons, or you're going to fail. And like I don't want it to fail. I want three great promotions. Like WWE is doing really good right now. TNA, to me, is the trends are going in the right direction. And we talked about this in recent weeks. TNA is trending in the right direction where they're getting better than AEW, I feel like. But I want all three to be really good, because that means three different companies. Rising tides, they raise all ships, but at the end of the day, that keeps a lot of people's dreams alive, and a lot of people making a good living doing what they love, which is wrestling for the great fans of the sport.